Hello and welcome back everyone to another episode of Heart of the Cast. What's up? My name's Farfa, joined with co-host Joshua Schmidt.
Hello.
And special guest Trisha La Twitch TV, Mike Thomas.
Hi.
Hi. You're excited today.
This is about as excited as I get.
Most excited Worlds competitor.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen your streams, dude. How many Master Duel accounts do you have?
I think 37.
Don't answer that question. Don't answer that question. It's a trick question.
That's true. He has one account that he plays on.
Here, let me. Playtime is currently 7,546 hours.
Is there a combined playtime
What?
thing you can look at?
On my
Steam,
Steam
right?
account.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm checking. Hold up.
That's impressive, honestly.
Where do I go? Library?
Yeah, just in your library.
It's a little fake. It's a little fake because I forget to close the game a lot. But
Oh,
if
How much did you have?
I were to anticipate the number of hours I've played Master Duel
5 digits easy.
accounts that are definitely on my main account. It's probably in that range somewhere.
Dude, I have 1.7.
1.7?
Yeah. How many did you have?
That's not a lot. I mean, to be fair, you jumped into Master Duel very late. I have 2.1.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Oh, you mean like streaming wise? I mean, I started streaming when Master Duel came out.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't like stream Master Duel a lot. You were doing other things.
I spent a lot of time streaming TCG.
I think.
How are you
Okay,
streaming
let me
TCG,
actually
Josh?
check a better number.
Is that a Patreon question?
Oh god. All right. Anyway, so for those of you tuning in and listening, etc., today's topic is Worlds. We have a Worlds competitor. And Trish is a very, very cool, unique guest for this because he's someone who is going to TCG Worlds and has attempted to go to Master Duel Worlds multiple times. So you kind of like have a lot of experience with the metagame of both games here, and it's I suppose kind of an interesting dynamic that you can offer. But first and foremost, I suppose for anyone who doesn't know you, want to introduce yourself really quick, tell us what you do, what you're all about, etc., and where people can find you.
Well, if you're looking to find me, please don't find me.
Not physically, at least.
But yeah, please do not find me. But if you have to find me, I'm unfortunately live almost every day on twitch.tv/TrishLaTTV. I play way too much Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, I think I'm just kind of like Mr. Dragon Link at this point in the community.
Mr. Dragon Link.
Yeah, like the Dragon Link guy.
Honorable.
Dude, you qualified for Worlds with Dragon Link? That's crazy. In this format?
I'm so depressed. Why couldn't it have been last year? Last year, dude.
What happened last year? It was close, right? What was you?
I didn't play in WCS last year. I went to Philly instead and scrubbed out with cash.
That's depressing. Oh god.
Oh, you mean like the Worlds qualifier for Master Duel?
Yeah. And it was funny because I told Ray, like, because me and Ray, we were somewhere in Canada. For I think we went to like a Toronto regional. And we went to this like Indian restaurant that he really wanted to go to. And we were sitting in the parking lot, and he's like, I think I'm going to start playing Master Duel and like streaming it because I want to qualify for Worlds through Master Duel. And I was like, Ray, don't do it. The DC Cups they're so hell. Like, don't do it. And he was like, no, I'm going to do it. I was like, man, you're skipping Philly. You could top the YCS. You could get a mat. Like, and you want to play Master Duel? And then he like, what do you get? Like first or second? And I was like, all right, I apologize, Ray. I'll never doubt you again.
Yeah, that was like a weird situation. I am very, very triggered at Master Duel clashing with YCSs, and it's happening again this year for YCS Lille.
Is it?
Yeah, YCS Lille is on this. It's the same weekend as the Duelist Cup, so
that sucks.
Yeah, that's genuinely really irritating. I suppose it doesn't affect that. I mean, I think it affects enough people for it to be somewhat relevant.
I mean, it would definitely affect more people if it was the actual Worlds qualifier, the one that gives out more slots to your region. because that one is just
Yeah.
way more realistic to qualify through. So I think it's more likely that someone would skip a YCS to play that one.
But the thing is, it's
But
still important to play the Duelist Cups now because of the new system, right? Because now you earn points for your
if
team,
you want,
right?
I haven't really looked into the
Yeah.
point system, how exactly it works, and if it's like worth working towards. But like, yeah, technically, I think if you were gonna try to get the points, then you should be playing all of the Duelist Cups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe don't listen to my advice on it because Ray didn't listen and he did go to Worlds. But
Just do what Mike doesn't say.
yeah, do whatever I don't say. But it is very scary to try and qualify through points because there's that one Korean team that has like what is it like 9,000 points or something for Worlds
Was there
points. They're,
somewhere you could check?
yeah, it's in game.
Oh, okay.
What about
Yeah.
it?
But there's just it's whoever Gimlet's team is, I think. That like group of guys, all three of them have like just hella points every season.
It also just
Like
it was
they're
wasn't it
animals.
random this time where they announced like one slot through points and then they just upped it to 2 at the end of the season?
Yeah, they might have done that because the gap was so huge. Like that's my guess. I don't know if that's like real, but
I
like
think they just did it because they noticed they were gonna have 11 teams, and that doesn't split well into 2 groups.
oh yeah,
Because now it's
yeah, because
12,
they
and that makes way much
yep,
like that was way more sense than well.
that makes sense because they reduced one of the regions
They reduced
this year,
multiple
right?
regions. They took one away from Japan and they took one away from Europe. Which I don't know if the one from
Makes
Europe is
sense.
because the winning team from last year is from Europe, but they also took one away from Japan, so I don't know why exactly.
Huh.
Yeah, I think
Weird.
introducing the system is messed up the ratios for like a structured tournament. So I guess someone has to lose out, I guess.
They had to make adjustments to it. They didn't necessarily have to cut slots. They could have just given the 1 to the points like they announced, but they just decided to up it to 2. I'm pretty sure that was like almost before the season ended. They just added 1. They were like, yeah, there's an extra 1 through points now.
Yeah, plus like it's also
Yeah.
awkward because they either make 12 or they go up to 16 teams, which I mean
Yeah.
you could do that, but that's like, you know,
I mean, also cost-wise,
yeah,
like
exactly.
4 extra teams means 12 people, not 4. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's begin with a Patreon question before we go into some of the topics today. This one is kind of random, but it's dedicated at you specifically, which is nice. And for those of you who are watching and listening, the Patreon is popping off. Make sure you subscribe. It is a singular dollar. That is like 80 cents or something for Europeans and British people. So make sure you check that out. You get to be part of the discussion, the feedback, and the direction of the podcast. And of course, you get a Patreon of the Week question. Let's start off with Bubble. You're given the ability to unban one card in TCG or Macedo, but it cannot be a dragon. What would you unban, and how does that
Oh,
make Dragon Link broken?
Oh wait, the goal is to make Dragon Link broken still?
Without unbanning a dragon.
Okay.
Oh, is that
Hmm.
possible?
Dude, I'm opening up the ban list. Hold up.
There's
Maybe Hulk?
Hulk could help actually.
Maybe.
So I guess the
Yeah.
question is, which banned card is the best in Dragon Link?
Oh no, it's Union Carrier actually.
Is it?
Yeah, equip Buster Lock.
That's
Easy.
very cool. How do you access the Buster Dragon though? Oh, it equips from deck. You just make the Union Carrier generically for a Savage.
Yeah. And
Union
just you stick
Carrier.
it on this pattern defense. Because then how do they get over that?
All right. That was easy. Josh, do you want to throw one in for Paleo, but it can't be a trap card? That's kind of easy, actually.
Well, Ronin, Toadin.
There's like a million things you could do.
Or grass, actually. It's one of the two.
True. But the question is does this card go to 1 or does it go to 3?
Just unhit, I guess. Do what you want.
If it's a 1, then it's definitely Ronin. If it's a 3, then I might consider
Consider grass.
Yeah.
3 grass in a 60 pile.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So yeah, let's talk about worlds. I guess we can probably somewhat divide this into 2 topics per se, because it's TCG and Macedo are kind of different, but obviously Josh has very experience in both aspects. But since you're the TCG man for America this year, Mike, tell us a little bit about the journey. How was the tournament itself? Like, were you going to qualify for worlds? Was that always the goal, or was it just one game at a time, see how you do?
Yeah, so if you check my Twitter, you can see that I posted like at the start of round one, just like it was like some picture, just with like a Snapchat like text box over it, that just said like going X3 or something like that. I was not like expecting to do well because my spirit was like a little down because I had like just gotten third in the Master Duel qualifiers, and it was by like 150 points or something like that.
That is so
And
sad.
yeah, I should have listened to you like actually because you told me to camp at like 55k. If I had camped at 55, I'd be in, but I didn't do
I
that.
mean, you never know how it would have went because the others would have kept playing and
Yeah,
stuff. But yeah.
exactly. Like because we were all really close. We were all like, it was a three-way tie at 55k, and then like fourth place was at like 53. And
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that just every NA player except for Josh Kipp lost 10 straight and then got stuck in the gulag. Like, because I talked to everybody, they're like, yeah, we all just got bodied on day 3 in like those last few hours.
Hmm. Maybe that's
So
when Japan goes ham, dude. Last couple of hours.
oh my god, I was just getting cooked by the there's that one Japanese branded player who goes by player. I think I queued him like 10 times and he just kept puppeting me and I was getting rolled. I was feeling bad. But
60,
yeah,
60
that
card
that
branded
was
as
that
well.
single.
Always drawing the
Yeah.
right cards.
Yeah, it was very painful. So I just kind of took it one game at a time. So Judy, who is one of the Master Duel reps for
Latin America.
um Latin America, yeah. We talk a lot, and he was messaging me. He's like, dude, it's just like DC Cup. Can you win 1K rated an hour on average? Like, can you do that for 2 days instead of 3? I was like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like sitting there at finals. It's like,
You are
huh.
so Macedo brain, dude. Holy crap.
I like really. I was just saying, it's like, huh. This game's a lot easier when I'm not getting max seed every round. Like,
Man, the Master Duel brain rot is real though. I keep referring to dice rolls as like coin flips and stuff
Same.
like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
something. All right. Well, I mean, obviously, you ended up getting to the world's playoff match, which is top 8, I think, or is it top 4?
Top
For
eight.
NA?
Yeah, top 8.
Top 8. What is it like
Um,
being in the position of like that
oh my
exact
god.
moment for
I,
the
I
last
I
final
need to
game?
oh my god, I need to tell the story of my top 8 match because it was such a disaster. Like this was just the most disastrous game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think I've ever played in my entire life. Um, so it's supposed to be a written feature. And you'll notice that it is not a written feature.
Okay.
Um, so we sit
Hmm.
down and our game starts like 20 minutes late because they're setting up the written feature. But we
What
have
does
our own
setting up
clock,
a
right?
written feature mean? I'm actually curious. Sorry for the interruption. What does it mean
Oh,
to set?
you're so good. You're so good. And yeah, I guess this would help for anyone who has never played on a written feature before. Um, so they sit you down and they have there's always 2 people with you. There's a feature match writer and a judge. And the judge is like your guys' judge. Like they have a clock that is completely separate from the other clock. Um, and occasionally they'll like pause the game to like, type up what's going on. They'll
Really,
check
they
your
pause
hand.
you to catch up on typing?
Yeah.
That must be really annoying.
It's weird because it doesn't feel like appropriate, and sometimes it gives one player more valuable time than the other, right? Like, because someone like if you're the
Yeah.
one figuring out your turn, like if it's your turn currently, I think you definitely benefit more from it being paused for like a 30 seconds or a minute because you can just think about your stuff.
Hmm.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
It feels great when it gets paused on your turn because it's like you get to stop and pause and like you get free time to think. It's like, am I
yeah,
doing this
exactly.
right? Like, but if it's your opponent's turn, it feels awful. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, like this is about to get so much worse for me. And there's also like I think a higher chance of like stuff just getting messed up because you're getting interrupted.
Mhm.
There's a really funny written feature between me and Shuping from the tier format. and we were at dinner like
Written
that
feature
night.
for a tier mirror. My God. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, dude. It's like,
Oh my god. It was so crazy because there was like 4 illegal plays that happened in the span of like like 2 phases, but because it took so long, no one caught it and no one like understood what's happening. And like we were reading the feature match back, like we were at a Fogo and we were reading back the feature match, and both of us look at each other. It's like, did you cross out tier crime? And I'm like, did you normal twice? We're both sitting there, and it's like, oh god, this game just needs to be buried. And like we were both out. Like both of our records were just like out at this point. So like the game super didn't matter. It was awesome. It was so great.
I mean, but that's the kind of stuff that can just get lost, right? If you get interrupted for like a full minute or something after you've like normal summoned or something. Yeah.
Exactly, because that's what happened. Like my draw phase in that feature match is an entire page. Like, because it's a tier mirror.
Is there like an introduction to your standby phase?
Yeah, basically. Like it is a 3-paragraph essay for my draw phase. Like that was awesome. But anyway, the back to the top 8 match. So you know, our feature match writer I think was running late or something. So like our game went on for like 2 hours. Like it was crazy how long this match took. But like,
why was
you know,
it so
we finally
long?
get started. I don't know. He might have been in the bathroom or something.
Oh, so like it was just like waiting around to wait for the thing to start eating it. Okay, right, sure.
Yeah. So we started late. We started the match like 20 minutes late or something like that.
Mhm.
So we knew that we were gonna be holding up the tournament like from the start. But and I don't remember, Josh. Maybe you might remember or not. They might give you extended time for written features as well.
I might even Josh know. Have we
Uh,
ever had written features?
We had written features in Europe, but we haven't had them since like over 10 years. Like
Jeez.
ever since they
Yeah.
started
Okay.
streaming, they stopped doing written coverage basically.
Oh, okay.
And what was like the first streamed event was like 2014 YCSs, I think. So like up until that point, we had written feature matches, but I don't remember it being like that where they would pause you.
See, it's a different era.
I didn't know.
Isn't it?
I didn't know that you guys didn't have written features still.
No, we don't have
We don't
blogs,
have
dude.
written
Like
coverage at all.
it's a different era for this type of stuff. Like, okay, normal summon Dino Rabbit, make an Xyz set 2. Okay, that's like
It
a
was-
paragraph, you know?
Yeah, I will say I've been checking out like in between rounds when I'm like watching a YCS. I'll check out like the written feature matches and stuff, but it is so much harder to follow modern Yu-Gi-Oh on a written feature than it was back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, no. So right. So we get started, and they check my opponent's hand because they confirm the hands, and I guess between whenever my last written feature was and this written feature, or maybe just a written feature I had like functioned differently. I thought they were gonna confirm both of our hands, like because you hand your hand to the written feature match, like the writer, and he types up what cards you drew. So I hand my hand to the judge, like because we're assigned our judge, and I'm like, "Here's my hand. You can confirm it." He's like, "Oh no, we don't need to confirm your hand." I was like, "What? Really?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we stopped doing that. You can just play." So I pick up my cards, and I'm looking at my hand. You know, it's all like it's a good hand. Like I remember it was like Snake Eye Ash, Diabell, Nib, Valor Druis, or something like that.
that's a good hand.
Yeah, and I was going first. I won the roll. Like I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." So I go like normal Snake Eye Ash. I get Valored, and my opponent is like almost immediately like cards in hand. I'm like, "What do you mean? I played one card." And I look down at my hand, and there's 5 cards in my hand. I'm like, "How did this happen? Like, this is insane." Because I've never in my life had that happen to me before, where I've like had too many cards in my opening hand. So I still don't even know how it happens. Like if you watch me on the streams, you can. It's really funny because after top 8, like every time I'm streaming, you can see me like very diligently counting to make sure it's 5 cards. I was because I'm like that is not happening again. I'm not letting that happen. But what I think happened is like 2 cards might have gotten stuck together and just like whatever. But anyway,
Mhm.
so I end up getting a game loss. So and they scrapped the feature match because we're like 30 seconds into this game, and we're already moving into game
What
2.
the hell?
That is like the worst possible moment to get a game loss as well.
Yeah, like
That's
we asked
crazy.
what time was after the game loss, and they said 43 minutes, and or something like that, and we're like, oh no. um. So
And then you win somehow, right? So
yeah. So game 2 is just like whatever, I went first. Game 3 is where it gets interesting. Is like he goes first. He's playing Ubel. And he starts off, and like I look at my hand and it's terrible. It's like OSS, double wanted, Diabell, and like Mulcharmy, and that's it.
Mhm.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh no. So I drop my Charmy or whatever. And he normal summons or something, but like he makes a phantom too. Like he makes phantom and then he normal summons. I draw Valor. He goes into spirit. I Valored it and like he didn't negate it. So he just
Hmm.
passed on phantom plus rage with like the dog in hand. And I'm just sitting there with, like OSS Diabell double wanted in hand. It's like, what do I do with this? like like I lose. I draw Dark Ruler for turn. I'm like, I guess I can play with this Dark Ruler. But like, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I still die because he has the dog in hand and Yama, so he's just gonna bring back the rage. Um, so I summon my Diabell. I get Mournered,
Hmm.
and keep in mind we have like 35 minutes at this point. Like this game is like been going on for not very long. Like
Okay.
or maybe it was like 25 minutes, something like. So I summon my Diabell, and I get Mournered. I'm like, okay. So I just play my OSS, and I take
This is
25
after Dark
burn.
Ruler, right?
Yeah, after Dark Ruler. So I can't do damage to him. I take like 25 burn damage.
Mhm.
I summon Snake Eye Ash or whatever. Get my and then I go to search, and I realize I had sided out Temple and Diabell, which like I almost never do, but I just had sided it out.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, I don't have a line now. I'm like, this is bad. So I search like Oak. I'm like, I guess like make Anima target. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll chain the dog, bring back the rage. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's gonna happen. Um, and then I'm just sitting there, and it's like, all right, well now what? I guess summon Oak, bring back Ash. He's like, rage effect, target the Anima. It's like, yeah, obviously. And then he goes into his extra deck, and he's like, oh. He's looking down at the board, and he forgot to pop the dog with the Yama because I think we got like paused or something for like the clock. I don't know what happened, but like he forgot to like pop his dog with Yama, so he can't make SP. So he makes a
Oh.
muckracker.
Because he's fiend locked.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, so and it's. I like wanted OSS draw, and I draw Maul Charmy, and I'm like sitting there, like my hand does literally nothing, and I'm like, my end board is either Flamberge push pass or make SP, banish something, and then like tag it out and Mulcharmy you, and then lose to time. So eventually I just settle on the Flamberge. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, go ahead. And we have like 12 minutes on the clock. At his turn, he has like a full hand. It's like, all right, I die. This is the run. Shouldn't have drawn 6 cards, I guess. And he goes summon DBB. I'm like, yeah, I'm so cooked. And he starts playing, and he starts taking like a long time. And I'm like, okay, it's top 8. You don't want to mess up. So I'm not saying anything. I'm just chilling. And then like everyone's starting to like look at him, and it's like, hey, dude, can you like make a play? You're not doing anything. And then I look over at him, and he's like thumbing through his extra deck, and there's like 4 cards in it. And I was like, cards in your extra? He's like, 3. I'm like, oh, oh, you don't have plays. So when he said that, the judges just start staring at him. He makes like an SP. I trigger a princess or whatever. I get all my resources back. He shared rides us, and the conclusion of the turn is he just passes on, like he can't do damage to me because he SP affected, so he can't attack anything. So the end result of the turn is that he has an SP on the field and 3 0-0s or something like that, and he's just sitting there. So I like start my turn with like 7 or 8 minutes, and I just start playing really fast because I like have Diabell, Snake Eye Ash, whatever now, and I'm like, oh, I just like kill you, great. And then he just starts he does the like the Manav memes, and it's just like, can I read
no.
Graveyard? You have a translation for OSS? I'm like, we're under shared ride. What do you mean? This is top 8 and I'm under, or not shared ride, but mistaken arrest. I can't use it.
Hold on.
Like,
There's no way he asked for a translation of OSS in game 3.
yes, he did.
That's
He absolutely did.
insane.
And
Oh my
I'm
God.
still not saying anything, and I'm still just trying to play. And every time I play a card, he's like thinking, but like his only interaction is SP because he has no cards in hand at this point. So we know what he's thinking on. And at some point, I'm just like, dude, tell me if you're using it. I'm just gonna keep playing it. And like, just tell me when you want to use it. It's fine. And I know, and at some point, it becomes obvious that he's just not planning on using it because like I get to Hita, and like that's like a normal place to like tag out. Like you get rid of the Hita, they lose a link too that you don't get to resolve it. And he's just like, no, that's fine. And then eventually a judge asked him to make a decision, and he just like tagged out a Diabell, and that's when he got a slow play warning that I think a lot of people saw on like the stream. And apparently that was not his first slow play warning, and he got a game loss. And like it didn't matter in the long run because I had lethal that turn, but like
that sounds like the most
it was
disastrous Worlds qualifier game in history.
Oh my god, it was so stressful, it was so insane. And then I look up from like this game, and like the production lights are all on us because they've like started streaming our game because it's taking forever.
Yeah.
And I look up, and like just Billy is standing there, and there's like the production lights behind him. He's like reaching out to shake my hand. It looked like the Mercy meme from Overwatch. Like when Billy break, it's like, congratulations. I'm like, oh my god, I finally got through this game.
This is what
And then immediately
I
after, I had to
imagine
play
death is
against
like.
my 3v3 Vegas teammate. Like my teammate from Vegas was my top 4 match. I was like, oh, hi Landon. Didn't know you were up here. What's up, dude?
God, wow,
It was just crazy.
that's something.
Yeah, like Nats was a movie. So sorry, that was a lot, but like it was just a story,
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like extremely stressful, and I don't know. Like, how did your opponent not win that? Like, can't they just summon Yubel and crash the Flamberge for damage? Like, you don't need any.
Oh, they didn't have any U-Bells because I Veilered the Spirit, so they didn't have access to their U-Bell engine.
Oh, that's rough.
Somehow, I'm not really sure how. I think they banished their Engraver for Aerial Leader at some point because they weren't able to recycle their Fiendsmith engine.
Oh, that's odd.
So the 3 cards in his extra deck was like SP, Varudris, and Wave King. It's just like
a very confusing thing to watch when it was only like basically half covered, because they started like halfway through to throw it up on stream, and then they also like you don't get to see everything when it's just that floor camera.
No context.
But
so that's the context. That game was a disaster. Literal movie.
All right. Well, have you been practicing for Worlds already? Has the training begun?
Yeah, I took like a week off. Like I haven't been streaming this month because I've been, just doing whatever, playing offline. A lot of the practice so far for me has just been like making sure that I know what cards do, because like I'm a Master Duel player, so like there are decks that I just don't know what they do.
What are the options in TCG for this tournament? If I'm sure you don't want to tell your deck list and stuff, but like what are like the options basically?
Or
like,
first of all, have they confirmed the exact card legality? Because I know there's been like issues with like I don't know, Closed Moon not being released in like Korea.
Yeah, they're confirmed.
Yeah.
So they are they legal or not?
Yep.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. So that's Phantom and Closed Moon, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically exactly what you would expect it to be if you just mashed the list together like it's always been.
What's the current situation OCG wise? It's 1 Snake Eye Ash, 1 Diabell? No, 1 Wanted.
Yeah, it's the same hits as Master Duel actually.
Oh, okay. So and then Tenpai has 1 field spell.
Yeah, it's one field spell, one prosperity for them.
And
Ubel has no
Yubel is
hits.
unhit, basically?
Unhit. Yeah,
Alright.
completely unhit.
Alright, 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 alright.
Huh.
Um,
This sounds very
yeah.
like lopsided. Like, is Ubel just the
You
best
say
deck?
that, but then at the same time, in the OCG right now, Yubel is like not super popular. Although they have the new set already, which gives Snake Eye a lot of support. But like Yubel is very small over there right now.
Really?
It's kind of weird. What's really weird is that the Japan WCQ format is probably the closest approximation because it was like their one tournament that played under their new ban list after they hit Snake Eye Ash and stuff, but before they got the new set with like the
Yeah, so
Osmania
it's
cards.
basically that metagame, but minus Maxi, right?
Kind of, because that metagame was weird. Top 8 was 3 Rescue Ace.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would think it's like, oh, well, obviously like Rescue Ace is going to be crazy, but it's like, well, there's no Maxi. That deck benefits a lot
Yeah,
because of Maxi.
yeah.
But also the only difference is that there's one airlifter instead of 2. So it's like, does that matter?
Hmm.
Some
I
people say, yeah,
think
that
you
matters a
can't
lot.
underestimate the impact of Maxi on decks like Rescue Ace, where like these
Yeah.
decks just have like I think it gives them the necessary boost in win rate going second that they don't suffer from when they go first themselves.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind. But the other thing to keep in mind is that like it's hard to like use it as a good data point,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like our only data point. But like top 8 had like nothing you would expect. There was like 1 or 2 Ubel in top 8. Um, there was 3 Rescue Ace. There was no Snake Eyes anywhere, and then it was like 3 other random decks.
No.
And it's just like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean that's always the biggest thing with Worlds prep for the TCG. It's very hard because you don't have these kind of data things to look at like what the decks exactly are that you need to be prepared for. And
Right.
it's also very hard to find people who are as invested as you are, right? So I was
Yeah.
wondering how you were approaching that because the way I did it is I think the best way is to just find 1 or 2 other competitors because you won't find anyone else who's as invested and it will give you as much feedback and input and work.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you were doing that.
He's asking politely if you have any friends.
No, among the world's competitors, like if you're preparing with anyone.
I don't want to like say if I am or not.
Okay.
But I know that some of the competitors are, grouped up. But I think NA has like a weird situation because like I'm sort of the odd man out as like Master Duel player. I think Marshall is apparently also like an odd man out. Um, from like from what I've heard, at least like not too many people knew who he was. Sorry Marshall, that's
That was the
what I've heard.
Ubel duelist, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's going on with him. I didn't even like meet him at Nats other than when he took the photo.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know. I don't know what the situation is, but I'm doing my thing right now.
Okay.
But you're really right. It is hard to find people who like
Yeah.
have the same interest
Yeah.
in competing at Worlds.
So without spoiling like the kind of deck you like or are thinking of playing, how far are you in your preparations? How well are we feeling?
I have it pretty well narrowed down to like what I would likely play, and it's just a lot of like polish. We have a couple weeks left.
Mm-hmm.
They posted the policy docs right for Worlds. I'm pretty sure.
Would you
'Cause,
say you've
I don't know. I
chosen
don't
the
remember
deck?
getting. I don't think we got yours. Did you get the Master Duel one? Did you just fail
I don't
out
know, but I saw
randomly?
on Twitter people were saying like no pile shuffling, which I know is from the
Oh,
Worlds.
that I saw. Yeah,
Policy
yeah.
doc.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
makes sense.
I think they've posted it. But
Mhm.
we have time to submit our decks.
What is
So
what's the
I
deadline?
don't
Like,
know.
when do you have to submit?
It's like right before Worlds. Like
On
I
the
think the
Friday?
20, yeah, that
Because
Friday.
it used
So
to be
like
the Friday. Yeah.
The Friday of
yeah,
Worlds? That's
it's still the
okay.
Friday.
It
So it's
used to
still
be
the
the
Friday.
Friday. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you
For
picked
for us, it's
your
very different. For us, it's next week.
Master's a
Yeah,
little bit earlier? Yeah.
I was freaking out because I was talking to Judy, and he said that it was like the week before Worlds was the deadline to submit decks, and I was like, what? Because
No,
I
no,
took a few
TCG
days
is not
off
written that
to
way.
like chill, and I was like, oh no, I should not have done that.
Bro
But
is playing a different game.
yeah, and I got the policy dog, and I was like, oh okay, thank God.
Would you say you've
I actually like our early deadline. Of course, it puts a lot of pressure on me is exactly right now in this moment. But when it's done, you have like some time to relax.
Yeah, there's no like panic switching for you guys.
What were you gonna say, Farva?
I was just curious if have you actually picked your archetype and deck you're playing, like the actual
No,
like.
I probably won't pick anything until the last second.
Okay, that's fair. Because when you said like polish, I was assuming maybe it was just kind of like ratios, side, and text and stuff like that. But I guess that's still pretty.
Yeah.
That's still pretty. What's the word? I mean, still quite open ended, right? Because yeah, there is a lot of options. Ubel seems insane, but without the TCG exclusive fusions, then it is kind of a big deal and how much consistency you lose there. So
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that, but I think maybe the way like I can get into like my philosophy on it is that like I'm prepping kind of like everything a little equally, or at least up to this point, I've been prepping everything equally.
Mhm.
And then from there, it's just like, okay, I know what my options are. I'm just gonna get them solidified, and then I'm just gonna pick a lane.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's always like just the best thing to do in Yu-Gi-Oh in general, right? It's better to play a worse deck well than the best deck badly type of thing, right? It's always just sometimes if there is a narrower choice, then comfort matters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd necessarily call it a comfort thing, like, but you are preaching to the choir with that, with the Dragon Link stuff. But it's more like I want to make sure that whatever I submit is going to be good, and then it's more just like a give myself time to make sure I make the right decision, if that makes sense.
What about
Yeah.
Fiendsmith Dragon Link?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I'm this close to doing it well.
Dude,
Like I'm like this close.
I was at Locals like a week or two ago, and I'm sure Glasgow Locals is not a reference point for your Worlds journey, but I saw a guy with the boot sector launch, Boral End, and then a Beatrice on the field. That's like anything to take away from our metagame right now.
Hey, Snake, I can't beat that. Like that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So yeah, what's like the shifts been like? Like, are we talking like friggin' 9 hour days, 9 hour days of just like constant just Yu-Gi-ing, or what's it been like the last couple of days and weeks?
More or less. I took a little bit of a break to go to Pasadena, or not Pasadena, but Sacramento. And I got burned in time, so that was a great like great to get that out of the way.
Why did you go to
Great
the
fresh
YCS? I'm curious. Like, was it more of a social thing, do you think, or?
partly social. I wanted to, just make sure that, if there was anything like I needed to do there, that like I was in a place with Konami reps where I could like physically talk to them. Which ended up being a good thing because I did talk to some of the reps about a few things. I think I got clarification on a few things for Worlds.
Mercy specifically.
Yeah. But just to see if there was any like cool text or anything. And it's still practice at the very end of the day. Like it's still just like
I
you're still
mean,
playing.
the decks that are viable in the TCG right now are still pretty close to what's viable at Worlds, even though there's small changes to them, right? But it's like still the same. So the formats are relatively close, I feel like.
Yeah. It was decent. I started out doing okay, so I got some good testing in the first few rounds because like my first few rounds were like couple rogue decks, and then like Jesse was my round 4. Like like I was in the VIP area for like the front half of the day. So it was some good testing and then some less good testing at the end, and I was like, oh, okay. I've learned that skill drain is still very annoying. Getting double skill drain does not feel good either.
Does OCG have
So
3 skill drain?
no, they have 1.
Mm.
So Great to learn. But there were some cool things that I did pick up there. I think a lot of people at Sacramento are on talents, which was something that I had been like talking about, and people kept telling me that I was stupid and wrong for wanting to play talents. And then like I kept getting talents, and it was really annoying. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's good.
Talents is just one of those cards. It's either awful or incredible. Like it never feels in between. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those cards for sure.
All right. Well, it's your first ever Worlds. It's a shame that it's in America. I suppose you don't get to experience Japan. Shoutouts to Eric Christensen who won Worlds. I think it was 26. Not won Worlds. Well, he did win Worlds actually. No, it was Blue Eyes. It was the year that Blue Eyes won Worlds. He got qualifying to Worlds,
I'm
and
pretty
it
sure he got
was
second.
Yeah, he got second because Paulie was the first North American champion.
yeah. And then he went to Worlds in Orlando, Florida, which is where he lives. So that's a nice little fun piece of trivia. But yeah, it's a big, massive achievement. So congrats, and I hope whatever happens in terms of like the testing and stuff, like I hope it goes well. And yeah, I think as Josh said, like probably it feels like finding someone else who as invested as you are is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It really is just because it's funny like when I think about some of my friends who went to Worlds, like they play tested with their friends, but I mean, you just don't have that motivation, right? Because you're not the
Right.
one who's going there, so.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because it's funny you say that. Because like I guess also to answer your previous question about like the shifts, like Monday was like a 12-hour shift. Like my friend drove down from another state, and like we just grinded for like 12 hours. And then the next day I was supposed to test with another friend, and like we got everything set up, and then he just like never shut up. It's like, dude, what the hell, man? So, but we'll run it back. We'll get there. But you're right. It is like that.
Do you focused on any type of ruling stuff at all, by any chance? Have you like made sure to brush up on that kind of thing? Because it's different in OCG with hand triggers specifically, I think is the most important thing.
I literally just emailed them to double check. Like I sent a few ruling questions that were basically all the same, like hand trigger ruling questions, but like just to like get confirmation that it's like, yes, that is how we're doing it.
You should expect it to be OCG rules that they will
Yeah,
follow. But as a
yeah.
master duel main, that should be something more intuitive.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's a good point. You are basically a master domain, so it works out
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah. I retired from TCG, and now my Poplar trigger's on a new chain.
That's pretty helpful.
Yeah.
So I'm just going through some of the what's it called questions now. Oh no, Josh, you've DC'd or something. Are you still there?
I think he died.
I think we've lost Josh for a moment. I'm sure he'll be back in a sec.
Sorry.
Yeah, so like going forward for this event and stuff, I guess like it's hard to it's so weird. It's hard to like talk about this subject because there's just no like, obviously you want to hold your cards close to your chest. That makes the most sense in terms of techs and archetypes available. So there isn't too much to reveal, I say, because it is such an important tournament. And
Hello?
yeah, there you are. Hello.
Hello.
My internet is gone.
Like your actual just home internet. You're on your
Yeah.
what's it called?
So
Oh no, he's on his phone data.
I guess I can try refreshing it, but until then you just won't have a camera if my phone is fine for now.
That's fine. Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Okay.
You can probably try like tether your computer to your 4G, and then you can just use your computer as a device.
Yeah, I can try to set that up in the meantime. I'll let you know when it's working again, but for now I guess we'll just have to make do this way.
Yep. All right. We can talk a little bit about Master Duel Worlds, I suppose. This is the cue to move on to that as well. We can maybe mention a little bit about your qualifying process for Master Duel. You did touch on it a little bit, but you have played in every single Duelist Cup, basically, at this point. What's that like?
I think that's not accurate.
What? Have you not played in all the DC Cups?
So
Lying on the
before
internet
last,
again.
how does he keep getting away with it, dude?
Yeah, I don't know.
Um, before we had the ability to qualify for Worlds through like the
Okay,
Duels Cup.
right, sure, but they
Yeah,
weren't
like-
real. Come on, like that's not the same
Yeah,
thing. Okay, the world's
right,
qualifying
like-
relevant DC Cups you've played in.
For most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that those have been really good. I'm not gonna lie. It's different being a content creator, I think. So my perspective on it's like kind of warped, right? Because for my community, it turns into like a little event.
Yeah.
And that's fun. Like there's a bigger element of fun to it, but I know for like other people who compete like off stream, there's still fun there. Like so many people just like hang out with their friends, and like some of the other people who did the grind and were close. We were trading stories at like the YCS. They're like, I know some players stayed up the entire 72 hours without sleeping, and we're on the phone with their friends, and they're like, you need to talk to me, man. Like I'm gonna pass out. Like you gotta talk to me. So I think it's cool, like not doing that, like not torturing yourself for a weekend, but it's a cool way to bring the community together, and it really does kind of train you, because like the going into Nats, my philosophy literally was just like, can I win 1K rated an hour? And it's like, yeah, I can do that. Like I can average winning twice and losing once in 1 hour for 2 days straight, and that's all you have to do to top any major event, like because you just have to win a match, which is 1 hour for 3 games. So it's good, like mental prep, I think, and it makes the bigger tournaments feel less like daunting, less stressful.
The system itself, I think you've become very accustomed to, but there is obviously a huge amount of bias as a content creator, I feel like. I had an absolute blast playing the Duelist Cups, and my goal was never to like qualify, and I still did like a lot of hours, and my first ever Duelist Cup grind, I played 20 hours straight on day one.
Casually.
Yeah, that was with Dragons too, wasn't it?
It was with
I
Dragon.
think I remember that.
We
Yeah.
played against each other at one point.
Oh yeah, we did.
We did.
I remember that.
So we played against each other twice, by the way. First time, I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna ignore Nibiru. Of course, he had it. And then second time, someone said, "Oh, you're playing against Trish." So I just, so I just,
best deck.
so I just, so the second time we queued into each other, I just surrendered. I just gave you the win.
Oh.
Not of
Win
course
trading?
suggesting this was win trading. for
Win
any...
trading?
No.
I got win traded and I didn't even know it. What the hell, man? Oh, that's yeah. Like, so it was so funny when we did play each other, like the game where we actually played, because people came into my chat and said you're playing against Farfa, but like I thought they were trolling me, because I'm like, no, I'm not playing against Farfa. He's not playing in this. He's doing YouTube funny man shit. And then I like finished the game. I'm like, see, I'm gonna show you. It's gonna be some fucking random, and it said Farfa. I'm like, ah.
Dude, it's funny because like I didn't use the name Farfa, but I used a different name. I think now
Oh, did you?
So like I think the way it works nowadays is everyone is defaulted to player. But at the time you could just use your real name. So yeah,
But you can still check these days. Because after the game, if you go into the replays, you see the actual name.
Oh, do you in the replay? Huh.
Yeah, you can find out after the match who you played against.
But interestingly enough, Josh, you keep your check mark, but it just says player.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's awesome.
You can turn it off.
Player verified.
Yeah. There, you can turn it off, which is a thing. Have you asked for a verified thing? You should go get a verified. I
was actually about to ask you guys, or at least Josh. I I don't know how you get verified, but do you think that if I ask at Worlds if they would verify my account, if they would do it?
I mean, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. They were like, okay, we have these check marks now. Do you want one? And that was the entire process I went through.
Do you know if anyone else has a verified badge that was competing at Worlds? I think it's just your team.
Yeah, I think it's just.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something that I heard, because I was talking about this on stream, somebody said that the only people who have verified checks, I think, are Europeans. And I think it's just people who hosted Challenger Cups.
You have to be.
Maybe it's that.
I think it's like official Konami influencer, but Quantal has one, so I don't know.
I don't think it's exactly that, right? I think it's also just
Oh.
maybe it's just a matter of the EU.
Well, he
people are the
hosted
only
one,
ones
right?
bothering about like distributing some check marks. Maybe
Yeah,
no
maybe.
one in NA.
Quantal
has
hosted one, didn't he?
Quantal hasn't hosted a Challenger Cup. He's won a lot of them and played in a lot of them, but no. Yeah, Emery has
He
one.
won my
Quantal
last
has one.
Challenger Cup with Runic Stun.
Yeah, good content, Josh. That was a great final.
I love him. Has he like updated us on like the Football Manager saga yet? How's that going?
Yeah, that has been what they've been playtesting while Josh has been off this week, I'm sure.
Playtesting Football Manager.
Yeah, we're playing Football Manager all day.
So for the World Championship segment on the Macedo end, Josh, I guess you guys are in the same boat. Are you guys just all getting into Discord and just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! On Macedo 9 hours a day?
Yeah, see, we do have the advantage that there's more people that actually care about the same format, right? You automatically have 2 other people that care as much as you do, which is really nice. So yeah, we've been grinding. I will also say that I think the new Macedool ranked mode helps a lot, even though obviously we do like a lot of testing between ourselves, but like you actually get good quality games up there. Like all 3 of us have been climbing like past like 1700s, and you get like very solid games up there. So it's been helping to just get a specific idea of like an overall idea of what kind of decks are good, right? Like we kind of said, like if we want to test specific matchups, we have to do it like between ourselves. But if we just want to see like which decks feel viable overall, we can just all 3 play at the same time because we get more games in that way. So we've just been playing all kinds of different decks on ranked to just see which decks feel good and which decks don't, which kind of matchups feel winnable, which matchups are like terrible.
It's really it's really interesting this year, right? Because I mean, it feels like there's so much more viable stuff.
It's yeah, I would agree with that. In the good and the bad ways. Like it's both ways because there's a lot less, like you can predict a lot less stuff that's about to happen because there is more decks that are viable. Like like there's a world in which like every team has voiceless voice, and then there's a world where almost no team has voiceless voice, for example. The same is true for some other meta decks. So yeah, it's definitely been. I would say this year is harder than last year in terms of the prep, but it's a nice challenge.
And last year, you guys practiced with the other European teams, so it was just like a group of 6 of you. But this year, I guess it's just you 3 together, and that's it.
We've been talking with the others a little bit, but not as close as last year. I don't know.
Who's
what
the others?
exactly
Is it Jesse's team, I assume?
No, the other European team.
Who is the other European team?
It's Eric, Zio, and Ben.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I guess I'll ask you, Josh, and then Mike can answer based on what you say for the viable TCG decks, because I know Mike doesn't want to give away too much. But what do you think is good at Worlds this year for TCG?
TCG?
Yeah.
I would probably say that Ubel looks the strongest.
Even without the fusions? Because I think the fusions are really important.
They are, but I think you don't lose out on that much by just not playing Aerial either and instead going for Lacrima lines. I don't think it's like a huge downside. I think Necroquip Princess is a bigger deal.
Yeah.
But I think the deck overall is just really, really powerful. I wouldn't count out Snake Eye, but I think at least if I'm observing the trends from the OCG before Rage of the Abyss, I feel like Snake Eye was on a decline because you had less starters/extenders. With like Wanted being at 1 and Snake Eye Ash being at 1, it felt like way more realistic to stop the Snake Eye deck with hand traps. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know how I feel about Tenpai with 1 field spell and without Max C and without Mall Charmy, because I think that's the reason why the deck is so popular in Japan right now, is because they have 6 Maxis going second basically. So I think Yubel is probably going to be the most represented, but that'd be my guess.
Thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I mean that sounds about right to me. It's not like a secret that Yubel seems very, very strong at Worlds.
What's Runic Fountain at in the OCG?
He's asking the important questions. I think it's at 1.
That's just
I think it's at 1 over there, but I don't think anything else is hit. I'm pretty sure it's just 1 fountain. That's the
what do you
only
mean just?
You can still play like a runic deck with 1 fountain. Like people did it in Master Duel, like constantly.
But it's not the same.
It's not the same. No, it's not. But like somebody could just be like, I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. And like, you can't count runic out completely because like people still queue with that deck. Like I'm pretty sure it's still topped. Or well, I guess we have 2.
Everything is unhit except fountain in that deck, right? Nothing's
limited. As far as I know. Somebody said runic tip is at 1. I don't think that's true though. I think that's Master Duel.
Yeah. It is.
No, Master Duel has 2 tips. 1 fountain. Yeah.
2 tips, 1 fountain.
Movie. I can check the list live actually. I will reference the Bible.
I was just asking because I think like Runic White Forest in a world where like the Snake Eye deck is weaker, it's like a solid deck. But
Runic what?
Runic White Forest. That is interesting. I mean, if you wouldn't mind me hitting you up about it, that is a deck that I want to like look at because it's been on my short list of decks that like I want to like look at. I just have no clue what that deck does at all.
I mean, if you're interested in it, you can just let me know what the restrictions on it are, and I can like try to help you out. I definitely have the time for it once we've submitted decks next like middle of next week at some point. Then I'll have a lot of time.
Okay, I'll send you a ping because at the very least, like I don't know what I'm playing for Worlds, but like at the very least, that's a deck that I want to at least like have played against. You know what I mean?
Yeah, understand it. Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, no, that it's interesting you bring that up because I think that is like on my short list because like for Worlds, I think there's like 7 or 8 viable decks. Like it's hard to give a top 5 because like you can say Tenpai is good for Worlds.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Tenpai actually. I think that Tenpai is probably one of the best decks for Worlds, like in a vacuum.
Yeah.
But the meta context of Worlds is that there's like 30 people there.
Yeah. Is it so by the way, I wanted to ask, is it 7 rounds again?
It is 7 rounds.
Okay.
So after the first round, everyone's gonna know in that room that you're playing Tenpai.
From my experience, it does not work that way.
Really?
No.
People always assume that like you could just like walk around the tables and stuff, but I think they like usher people away and stuff once you're done with your game.
You will have a rough idea of what some people are playing, like based on like you can talk to people in the breaks maybe.
Yeah.
But like you will not have the time to just walk around the thing and just look at everyone's deck or like talk to everyone in between rounds and like what did you play against? What did you play against? Like it's not that simple. You would think so, but like it's really not.
Interesting. Good to know.
Do you think something like open deck lists would be fair after like round 1 or something, or maybe top cut? Because I think maybe there comes a point at Worlds where it's just a case of, do you know more people who are scouting for you kind of type of thing, right?
Deck type, I would say yes. That would probably be a good thing. Like full list, including like tech cards and what they're siding and stuff, I would not be a fan of that.
Yeah, I
Mm.
also wouldn't be a fan of that because like sometimes when you get these formats, like this is a good example of it because Jesse just did this with Sacramento. Is sometimes when you get these formats where, you know, it's play or lose, right? Um People start really digging in through the card pool and coming up with creative solutions to like win, where it's like, oh, like so that games don't play out in the same way where it's like I play Snake Eye Ash, you play Imperm, I play Diabella, you play Imperm, I link
Mhm.
2, I go Requiem, blah blah blah. You know, like we've all played that game 1,000 times at this point.
Yeah.
So people will come up with like interesting things. I know like when I played against Jesse in Swiss, he sent me first in game 3. And
Yeah.
in my mind, that's the only reason I won, was that he sent me first. I just played through 2 hand traps and was like, Jesse, what the hell are you doing? And you know, like he was like, oh well, you know, you are probably going to side in a bunch of cards and you're going to brick. And I'm like, okay, that's, you know, an interesting meta contextual development. But then he was also doing stuff like Nemesis Flag and Protos. And you know, like that's wild that you're just, you know, dumping Nemesis Flag, you know, like with a Beatrice and bringing it back with Promethean and calling fire in a mirror match or dark against Ubel, which is terrifying. Just so that you don't have to like grind out those like repetitive like interactive games. And then similarly, I think one of the Ubel players, maybe the one that got second, or I just saw a clip of it, but he was, I think it happened to you, Josh. It was actually one of your shorts that I found out about this,
Oh yeah, the
is that he
FTKs.
played the FTK. Yeah, he played Ubel FTK.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so instead of giving your opponent an opportunity to like hand trap you twice and then, you know, have their own starters and force you to interact with them, sometimes these formats just develop into, I'm just going to kill you. Like, I'm just going to win.
Yeah.
But like nobody's like week 1 trying to do that stuff because it's just
Mhm.
not optimal, right?
Yeah.
You know, Tenpai is like an interesting choice for Worlds because, well, I say interesting very lightly because I feel like you're kind of just at the mercy of what your opponent has drawn sometimes with that deck, because I don't feel like there's a ton of skill expression of what you can do. And can you draw Sangan summoning more than your opponent? But I mean, it's a great NPC deck that kind of just puts a lot of your results of your tournament
Faith in
in,
God.
literally, right? Like
Yeah.
that's
Um.
kind of how I
Yeah.
feel
No.
like that
But
deck plays.
that. Right. But like, I think to my point, that's kind of why I think it is such a good deck for Worlds,
Yeah.
because you don't need to express skill, and then the opportunities you have to express skill become even more effective. You know, like if the deck can carry you through Worlds, why wouldn't you pick something like that? You know what I
Sorry,
mean?
this chatter.
Like,
As a bad player, I like Tenpai. My
I think
God.
I think in the context of Worlds, it really depends on like how comfortable you feel in the format. But I could
right.
imagine if it's like a format that I end up not liking, then I wouldn't mind just picking the deck that's just like, you know, if it's my day, then it's gonna be my day, right?
Exactly. Like, and that's what makes Worlds scary, is that you don't know when you sit down across from your opponent if they're feeling like that and they're going to send you
Yeah.
first and maybe they'll just transcendent I'm in you, or if they're going to, you know, sit down and try and play a really interactive game. You don't know if they're going to try and like Ubel FTK you, you know, potentially. Like, you don't know which approach to this tournament they're going to take. And that's hard. And because this is also like a burn in time type format too, you
Oh
don't
my
know
God,
if
yeah.
you have to risk Dogwood. Like, do you play Dogwood at Worlds to like scam people with the Dogwood or to not get scammed by Lacrima? Or do you cut Dogwood because in like a, you know, like a theoretical chess Yu-Gi-Oh game, Dogwood is a useless card?
Wait, how?
Is it 45 minutes?
I think so, yeah.
Explain
Okay.
how that works.
Like, it's a neg one, right? Like, so like if you were playing a game on DB, right? Like, or sorry, I said the forbidden place. If you were playing a
What is
game on
that?
Master Duel, if you're playing a game on Master Duel, how many times have you been dogwooded on Master Duel outside of gold?
I mean, if you're unironically
Never.
asking about in a world where you can play TCG with your friends in remote duels, and you were playing according to time rules and stuff, I feel like I've heard people complain about Dogwood Infinite.
No,
No,
what he says is like
but,
Dogwood is a
like-
terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card outside of the exact context of timeout.
Right.
Yeah,
But
like,
but that's not
yeah.
a relevant point, is it? What?
Not really, because the time is a real
Yeah.
thing, right? Like,
Well, but it is, but like you have to say, do I play with a 12 card side deck and play
Yes.
Dogwood, or do I
Yeah.
play a 15 card side deck and just like
Yeah.
bully my opponent and be like, hurry up, loser. Sorry that it's the world championship. Hurry the fuck up, because I didn't play Dogwood. But you have to take that gamble, because technically, if you're not playing Dogwood, your deck is better because you have 15 cards instead of 12.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
But
like
I
that
think
is a
it's
gamble.
also
That
a
you have to
matter of if you don't play Dogwood, you do have to play game 1 and 2 differently. Like you have to be willing to scoop way sooner.
exactly.
That's the issue.
Yeah, like because that was a thing at Nats. So like I feel like a lot of my games at the NAWCQ ended with me burning people in time because people weren't playing Dogwood. So they were just, but they also weren't scooping.
Yeah.
Like they were just playing out games they had no possibility of winning. And like, they might break the full Snake Eye board. They might play through 2 or 3 hand traps, but they just didn't have anything afterwards. Like it might be I broke the full Snake Eye board and I passed on SP 0 cards in hand. And it's like normal Snake Eye Ash? Like, oh yeah, how long did that game take? 35 minutes? Oh no, that was game 1? Like stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Um
It happens more at like against average level players rather than at Worlds, I think. So yeah, I don't know if it's but I get the problem, because it's like I think Dogwood is a card that doesn't give you anything. Like if you're side decking after game 1, you're never touching that card unless game 1 took like 40 minutes. So you are effectively you only have 12 slots to cover all the decks.
Right. And then exactly, like you only have 12 slots, but at the same time, I think you're right. I think it does happen more with average level players, but I think it can also happen with high level players as well, where they ego those games because they either are playing Dogwood and they know that they can Dogwood a game later, or they, really believe that they can just skill diff you, and they, feel like they want to play the game out completely and they don't want to cheat themselves out of a game they might be able to win.
Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Different
So,
format,
like,
but you have a lot of
dangerous.
experience with this. I'm very curious how time affected you during the Duelist Cup, because while there isn't a conventional end of round procedure type of thing, you do have to think about time. And when you see and you play infinite amount of Snake Eye mirrors for the last Duelist Cup, when do you scoop and when do you how much were you willing to just play out a game in Master Duel specifically?
So that's kind of the thing, is that in Master Duel, I'll play out the games. I don't care.
Even though there's a limited amount of time, because there is still a limit per se, right? Because you could just be throwing 20 minutes away into a game that's you will lose potentially.
Sure.
When you could be queuing another one, and you add all of that together, that's a lot of time potentially over 3 days.
Potentially, but sometimes you do still win those games, and you have to think about it like you have to. If you lose a game, you have to win 2 to get to where you would have been if you had just won that 1. So you have to play 3 games, right? So I think a trap that a lot of people fall into sometimes is they just start scooping games really fast, and it might not be as bad as you thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? Like, for example, they might have bricked, and their combo might have been really awkward, but they show you one good card and you don't have the right hand traps. You have all engine, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna skip this. They're gonna combo me. Because early on, in some of the earlier Duelist Cups, I played like that. Where I would just if my opponent started to combo and I didn't have hand traps, all right, we're going next. I don't think I made it past 15K, because I was just scooping too many games.
Interesting.
But I think the dynamic changes a little bit, the more the later you get.
I do agree you have to find a balance. And especially in the early points, like I would be willing to play out more games because you're playing against more average players, right?
Yeah.
But once you're past, like, I don't know, 40, 50, 60K, like I know what I was doing when I was playing Sprite in the Tearlament one. It was like basically full power Tearlament. Like, if my opponent's kick close hit the board, I was out of there.
Yeah.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I vividly remember watching you play out some of these games, and I was just like, why are you playing this, Josh? And then like you would just win some of them, and I was like,
Well,
bruh,
then that's
how?
probably because I looked at my hand and I deemed it winnable. But like a lot
Yeah.
of them, I was just out of there.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I think you just have to be a good gauge of like, can you win?
Yeah.
Where it's interesting though, and this is like maybe a regret I have for Master Duel, is in those last few minutes, you know, like I potentially could have queued another game. I stopped queuing maybe 20 or 30 minutes before the end of the cup. And I just, you know, was like, put my faith in God at that point.
Mhm.
Because here was the dilemma that you face, right? You can use like the morally questionable tactic of like, do you like queue a game in the last 7 minutes or so and see if you can get your opponent to scoop quickly, and if they don't, or if things go wrong, you hold them hostage and you don't lose the points. And
Oh, does that not count?
and I didn't want to do that. Like,
Wait, no,
people
hang
are-
on. Wait,
Are you sure it works like that?
Yeah, question. If you
Yeah, because I didn't think it worked like that in the last cup, and I played out a game in the last cup, and it went past the timer. This is before they like kicked you out mid game or whatever it was. And I played out the game past the timer. The game finished, and my rated did not change. Like, I lost that game, and my rated did not change. I was like, oh,
Okay.
did the rating maybe
Um,
adjust like once the finalized
no,
ratings came in like a few
it
days
didn't
later?
adjust. No, it
Huh.
didn't adjust.
That's so funny.
So like that is a thing that you can do, and I think Duel Links players used to do this too. Is like they would just hold people hostage if the game goes poorly. Because people did it to me too. Like, and I was trying to figure out like in other Duel Cups, I'm like, why aren't they playing? Why did they stop playing? And I'm like, oh, they're holding me as a hostage because either I get frustrated in scoop and they get the points, or they, you know, nobody, like, there's just no change to either of our
Actual
records.
just chaotic neutral, dude. Holy crap.
That seems like such an exploitable system. Like, I feel like the games should
Yeah.
just count if they were started before the deadline.
I agree. I think that it is very exploitable. But I didn't want to do that because here's the alternative. You go in and there's like 7 minutes on the clock, right? And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna hold them hostage if things goes wrong. And you draw 5 literally unplayable cards. You have not a single hand trap, and you cannot hold them as a hostage. And they like play, and you just have to pass back. They kill you. You lose 1,000, and there is not time to queue 2 more games, let alone 1. And to me, like, it's a big gamble, and like when you're that close, I don't want to take those types of gambles. I'm just like, I'm just gonna, you know, walk away and just say, you know what, I did my best, and it better be good enough.
Well,
And it was like 100 short, so like maybe I should have tried to hold somebody as a hostage, but whatever, dude.
man, I was so upset when you didn't make Master Duel World specifically because like I felt like I came into your stream like 3 separate times, saw your rating, and I was just like, bro, like stop queuing.
Stop. Yeah, I know. Like, I remember you came back after I missed, and you were like, "I told you to stop. Why didn't you stop?"
No. But hey, it worked out perfectly. You get to go to TCG Worlds now. I'm really curious. I feel like for you it would be Master Duel, but I'll let you answer. If you could just pick a spot, like to go Master Duel or TCG World, what would you rather do?
Probably Master Duel, yeah, because like
That's
TCG has
crazy.
always been like the prestigious one, like the one that like everyone's like trying to get into, you know, and like that's always been the dream, right? But at this point, I feel like Master Duel Worlds is kind of more fun. Like, you get to go with a couple friends, you have a cool deck building challenge, you know, like it's more of like a community thing, and like I play Master Duel more now because like
Yeah.
I don't want to go outside. I don't want to talk to people anymore. Like, I just want to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, Josh, I guess you can maybe shed some light. I mean, like you've been to Worlds numerous times in TCG, but like, what do you think? Like, what did you enjoy more, prep-wise, time at the event, like just the overall experience? Like, do you think Master Duel was just more fun?
I would say that, yeah. I think going through the event as a team was definitely more fun than doing it solo. The prep is like pretty much the same because for TCG, like I said, I would also just find other TCG players to prep with. But like, I don't know. To me, I felt like TCG was more prestigious, but then when we were there last year, it felt pretty much the same in terms of like the pressure and the excitement and stuff like that. So for me, it's just being at Worlds is what matters. I think both games have their own kind of thing. I mean, at this point, after we've done it in Master Duel, I would really like to go back for the TCG at some point. But like just from an outside standpoint, without having like if I hadn't won Master Duel, I think I just would be fine either way.
Do you think like if you could just magically change your Worlds win to TCG Worlds win, would you?
No,
Interesting.
I wouldn't do that to Quantal and Emre.
That's what I mean. Like completely ignoring like just talking purely about the status and like the accolade and the achievement itself, right? Like just purely, would you rather be like a TCG winner, or like a Master winner?
I guess ignoring anything else, I would probably have picked TCG.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's like the one thing that I think TCG has, other than being like the one that people like.
I think part of what makes it more prestigious is the fact that you do it alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's like that is yours. Like no one can take that from you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the same is like it's the same with Master Duel, kind of like that's why it's weird. I don't know. It's a weird question.
Yeah, no, like I agree, but like you don't have to deal with the people like doing like the 1/3 world champ jokes. You know what I mean?
I just don't care about that, to be fair. So maybe if you're someone who would care about that, then yeah, then Master Duel is not the one.
You are
I
nothing
agree,
without
like-
Emre.
Quantal, my goat. That's the world champ. That's my world champ, Quantal.
All right. Well, I guess we could take like some questions from chat. Looking through some of the Patreon questions, I think we basically covered almost everything just throughout the general cast here. So yeah, this has been shorter than usual. The feedback has been like people just love like the longer things. Like even when we hit like 2 hours plus, like people do really enjoy it. So that's pretty cool. Monk Unit apparently really wants to know what it was like asking for Dragon Link to be unbanned on stream.
I wanted to say, you know, like I got up there and I was, you know, like I was so tired, like I was exhausted because I think that it was like 11:30 at night. I didn't get out of the venue until like 12:30 in the morning. But I wanted to say something, you know, like fun for like the stream because I knew that like stream was watching back home. But I didn't want to say anything like too troll, you know what I mean? Like
were you
so
like media
just,
like trained or prepped at all by any chance before? Because one I noticed you said
really.
unhit, not unban.
Oh no.
That was just a complete coincidence.
Yeah, that was just complete coincidence.
Okay.
But like, you know, I could have hit them with the it's party time. I could have hit them with the Fazo L. Like I could have hit them with like so many things. But I was just like, people only know me as the Dragon Link guy. I'm just gonna say something about Dragon Link and get off the stage and like get my phone and get some water.
If you had qualified for Master Duel specifically, who would you have taken?
So I did actually have to register a team. Because I was third place, so I did register for Worlds twice. So the two that I chose was Lucas Sacco and John Wilkin. And you know, it was so funny talking to Sacco at SAC. He's like, "I'm so shocked that you took me because like we have never spoken." And I was like, "We haven't?" I'm like, because like I knew who he was, like, and we have a lot of mutual friends. I'm like, really? I guess you're right about that. But like, you know, I love Sacco. He's great. And you know, I've known Wilkin and like Ryan since they were like what 13. Because you know, I'm from like the Detroit area originally, and they're from Toronto. They would come to all of our regionals and all of our like all the Midwest tournaments they were at. So like I knew that, and like we would go to Canadian events. So like I saw those kids when they were like small. Like I watched them grow up. I was like, well, I can't take Ryan. He's on the other team. So you know, and like John got fourth. I was like, all right, you're coming.
In terms of the metagame for the Master Duel Worlds, I'm gonna ask you specifically because I'm sure Josh wants to keep some of these theories to himself.
Well,
What
I'm
do you
taking
think?
notes right now.
What do you think are some viable team decks? And of course, just for people listening, remember that the card pool for Worlds for Master Duel specifically is shared. You can't play 3 Ash Blossom in every single deck. You have to split them equally across. You can pick 2 cards, I think, right? Is that still true this year, Josh?
3.
3.
Oh, 3 cards. Okay, cool. So you
Well, basically, you pick one because everyone picks Maxi and Ash. That's not a huge spoiler.
so everyone gets a playset of Max and Ash, but then you get to go from there. And I think like the biggest question when it comes to this type of lineup is some decks need hand traps to play, and some decks have a lot of crossover in their extra deck. So what do you think would be some viable lineups for Worlds?
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the problem this year. Last year, I think it was like the best format they could have handed you guys for this specific deck building challenge, because every playable deck in last year's format did not need to share cards. Like Tier did not need to play hand traps. Like, so you could spread out the hand traps. It wasn't a super hand trap heavy format. Board breakers were fine because stuff like dragons existed. So you had those options. This year it's really awkward because everything wants to play like 12 hand traps at least. I've definitely like done some theorying for Master Duel Worlds, and I know that there's like the thought process is like, do we share a 3rd hand trap? Is that like something that we can do? Like, do we share a card that is not called by talents or cross out? Because that's what it is. Usually, I think like the obvious choice is like Maxi Ash, and then like probably another part of that package. Like most people, I think last year shared called by. Josh, I think you shared tactics.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you would know better than I would. What some of the other shares were last year if people tried any other shares.
There's a couple of
I know
imperms, right?
The craziest one. I know that. I don't know what all the other teams shared, but I know the craziest one was Sprite Elf.
My goats. That's a you team, man. That sounds like something you would have done.
What? No.
Yeah, I'm playing 3 Sprite Elf in every extra deck. But yeah,
I don't even to this day I don't know why they had to do that, because it's like it was like you couldn't just play 2 in Sprite and 1 in Tier and you're fine.
Yeah.
And I don't know where else they even put it. I guess they really wanted it in Punk or something, and they were just like, "Yep, well, we'll share it."
Oh shit, we've got the list here. So we've got Elf, Super Poly, Called by Imperm, Called by Gamma, Talents.
Yeah, we were the only one with Talents.
You were the only ones who won.
Mm-hmm.
Talents diff.
Super Poly is interesting because I know that like that's another one of those cards that like, can you share Super Poly? Yeah, I mean you could, but like for this format, I mean, but it's like, but do you share the targets in your extra deck? Like, no.
Well, you can't do that. Like it's a matter of, you can share cards like Gamma and Super Poly, but you can still only put it in 3 decks, right? Because like for Gamma,
I don't know.
if you share Gamma, you can still only play 3 drivers.
Share driver.
Yeah,
Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. It's you share Super Poly, and then like only 3 decks realistically can play Mud Dragon and Garura. So what do the other decks use for Super Poly? Like, are you putting them in decks that like
don't get Super Poly, right?
I thought it was 6 decks, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't have to put Super Poly in it. Like if you make
right, but like then it's wasteful, right? Like then it's kind of wasteful. Yeah. So it's like in terms of optimization, like do you do that? Like probably not, but like sometimes there's an argument too. So I think
it's not a given that you can find the card that you need, that you want in all 6 decks, right? There's always going to be like odd ones out. Like
exactly. So like that, right? Like the only given cards would be like a generic hand trap, like Valor, like every deck can play that, sure. Or something like tactics or called by. It's like, okay, we'll negate the Maxi, we'll play the Maxi Gambit. Every deck can benefit from that for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But again, because every deck wants to play hand traps right now, do you share called by because everything wants to play hand traps, or do you not share it because they're all going to be spread out? like Or do you like
It's
stack
the
all of
weird
your
problem of if you share called by, you might not have enough hand traps yourself, right? Because then you have to like
Exactly.
you have like you run out of imperms and veilers and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely tougher. That's what I meant earlier when I said it's a little bit harder this year because I feel like decks in general in Master Duel are more like non-engine heavy at the moment. There are only very few decks that completely rely on their own engine, and they're not even like within the top decks, like stuff like I don't know, branded tier and stuff like that. They're viable decks, but they're not like the best deck like Tearlament was last year, right? Like it was a huge help last year that there was Tearlament, which was the best deck in the format, so you didn't even need to play the secondary deck much, and it didn't take many non-engine cards away from other decks, right? So you could just focus on building other decks with all the non-engine, and tier was just gonna do tier things. There is no deck like that this time around because even the quote-unquote best decks in the format all play a good chunk of hand traps.
Exactly. No, exactly that. And I think that it leads to this weird place where it's like, I think if you're a Worlds competitor, you're probably having to look at decks like Runic. I mean, like I think everybody's looking at Runic. But do
Especially
you
Josh.
look at Sky Striker again? Like do you look at the Quantal deck again? Not because like it has some good meta matchup, but because Striker cards are like pseudo defensive cards. You know, like do you just play Striker because it can run 3 Widow Anchor and that doesn't conflict with other stuff? Do you dig into like the Doomer piles of like Chalice and like Book of Moon and Book of Eclipse and stuff like that? Like what level of defensive card can you like really dig down to? I think is the
I think it's gonna be really funny to
question in
see
this
like
format.
every team's 6th best deck, right? Because that would be like it would have to just be like a full engine type of deck, right? That doesn't use any of like because all of the non-engine will probably just be spread to the better decks at that point. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see people
I
like
think yeah, I think we could see some wacky secondary decks this year, yeah, like
yeah.
or like
Yeah.
the 5th or 6th slot can definitely be something completely weird.
Yeah, and Josh, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I can talk about like one idea that I had that I don't know if we'll see it, but something that wouldn't
Mhm.
shock me if we did see is
Mhm.
if the strat is to just like almost not share cards and just like build a couple decks that are just really well built. Like you could have like a breaker U-Bell and a hand trap Fire King or Snake Eye or whatever.
Mhm.
And those decks are basically fully constructed and they just have like a rogue deck in the back, like just a burner deck in the background. And you're just saying, I'm just gonna send 2 full power decks
And then
in.
like a third labyrinth or something could work.
Literally, like it would just be like those, and then like some random decks in the back, just because whatever, you know, like it could literally just be 40 vanillas in a pile and just say, I'm just never switching decks. Because I
Yeah.
think Jesse had like I think there was theory on it, but I remember people were laughing last year, like trolling, saying that Jesse just didn't bring a second deck. Like it was just like,
It was Marine Cess, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was Marine Cess. I think it was for branded was the theory. Because
I
I
think the
asked him about it
logic
at one
was
point.
the only deck you would be willing to switch off of tier 4 was like a very bestial heavy deck, I suppose.
Yeah, something
Like
like that.
I predicted Jesse to actually play potentially Marincess against me in the finals because he probably knew I was going to queue the Dragon Link deck.
Yeah, but you know, like it's also Marincess because it's like you just don't do that because it's Marincess. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it
That's
could
why I queued
functionally
my
be 40
Dragon Link as
vanillas.
well. Like if I was more confident on the read, I would have just queued my other deck. But I was like, nah, man, he's not going to switch off of tier in the finals.
Yeah, and even if he did switch off, like Dragon Link, it's not like Dragon Link struggles into Marincess. You know, like like
It would
you
have to
can
be
still beat
specifically
that
a
pretty
hand
easily.
with just like that is kind of weak, but also doesn't have any interaction from Marine Set, specifically like Bestial Heavy or something. But even then, Bestials
Boot,
and Dragon Link are just
collapse, red
combo cards,
MD,
so
Absolrator.
yeah.
Like it would have to be very very bad.
But
For Dragon Link to
you guys are right. Like it feels like deck 4, 5, 6 are actually just like I don't even know like decks that would have to just basically play no non-engine, right? Or decks that are cards that are so different from the first two, like Labyrinth with trap cards, right? Because you're not going to need any trap
Yeah.
cards in U-Bell and
Or-
Snake Eyes, so
Yeah, or you just have to find a deck that has a really good engine. Like, you know, like Pendulum decks, for example, could potentially be
Ooh.
like
That's
played.
actually yeah. I think the problem with
yeah,
Pendulum
like,
maybe is the
Supreme
extra deck, right? Maybe not.
Maybe, yeah, like because there is a lot of overlap with the extra deck too. It's like, do we share Sprite Elf again? Like, no.
It's another problem on top of it is like if you're trying to build 6 decks that kind of have the same game plan of like comboing and mid range and stuff like that, you know, like you can't you're gonna run out of SP Little Knights, you're gonna run out of Appaloozas, you're gonna run out of those kind of cards as well, right? So it's like it's extra hard if decks rely on the same kind of extra deck staples as well as not. It's not just the main deck non-engine, it's also just the extra deck, right? Like most decks want Charmers, SP, IP, Appaloosa, that kind of stuff in Master Duel right now, right?
It's kind of crazy how Paleo has like none of those issues, huh? I wonder if that's going to be a
Weird,
secondary
huh?
deck.
Weird, strange.
My only question is
but-
if Burst is going to be in the list or not this year.
Dude, last year there was. I'll say this: last year there was no round timer outside of the in-game timer, so
Oh, there you go. There you go.
you can just hold them hostage with like 6 life points.
Just
Dynamorph
turn on the auto
games.
clicker at Worlds, just like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
But yeah, I'm like really excited to see like what the actual like did we get like the full deck lists last year? We probably did, right? Of every team's decks, like both 2, right?
I don't know if they published
Master
it,
Duel
but
meta
like
had them.
Yeah.
I don't know how they
I don't know
got
if they
them,
had
though.
everything completely like constructed though, like all the lists 100%. But I know for a
Yeah.
fact. I mean, if they do
Oh,
it
the
the same
spreadsheet
way
has
as
the deck
last
list.
year, if they do it the same as last year, where you can spectate all the games in game, which was really cool, by the way.
Yeah, I love that.
Then obviously people are gonna figure out the lists anyway, right? By the time
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the yeah.
I'm just
Why
looking at
did that one?
the Sprite Elves team. They had that's Task's team that played Elf as the shared card.
They shared Elf.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Melfi Sprite, Runic Stun, Branded Tier, Exo, and Punk. Dude, he took Punk like as his main deck. What a fucking Giga Chad.
Wasn't
He
that his
decked
thing?
out-
Wasn't he
he
like
decked out
originally like a
Gimlet.
punk one trick?
Yep.
He decked out Gimlet in round 1, game 1, under Maxi.
Decked out with Punk.
Yeah.
How do you summon that many times in Punk? Like,
Dude, I don't know, dude. Don't ask me that.
It was mill shenanigans. I watched that game.
oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
it
it's always
was-
Vampire.
He
Yeah.
also took the Ishizu cards from the other decks.
Yeah.
Like there
Oh.
was
He-
no. I think they played tier without the Ishizu Millers.
Punk
Yep.
Pile 60. Damn. That sounds like a
Madness.
wild deck. Holy shit, my man. It's really weird as
he
well,
was
like why
playing
some people
well.
are just so good at playing Master Duel DC Cups. Like it's like literally like he is basically like top 3 players ever for like that specific format, and I can't really understand why. Like what's so different about it compared to just playing a game of TCG or something, right? Like it's still Yu-Gi-Oh. It's so odd.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know, dude. Like it's weird. Like, but like you could look at it, it's like, oh, like something's up with Tasaku, but then Ryan does it twice back to back. And the only reason that Ryan's not like doing it more frequently is he just doesn't play in them all.
Yeah. I don't know. Like yeah, him and Ryan are
some
like
people are
just
just
that
crazy.
level for the DC
Yeah.
Cup specifically.
Yeah, and like Tasaku's scary. That dude scares me.
All right, I guess final Patreon question. Have you guys noticed any difference in the way people have treated you before and after your fame, quote unquote? You can
Josh.
start us off, I guess. Okay, sure, Josh can go first. How's that been? I think especially with Josh, because I can answer for Josh specifically before he was a content creator. I do remember him getting a lot of attention still, just as like a known player. But I assume that's probably just spiked significantly this last like year, especially.
Oh yeah. That's what I was about to say. Is like, what do you mean by like fame? Because I've been like, as a player, I feel like I've been known for a much longer time than as I have for a content creator, and it's always been like a few people like asking, I don't know, to like take a photo or something beforehand. But once I started like streaming and all that, like that exploded. Like that feels like the more deciding factor in whether someone like cares about you or wants to take a photo with you, is like whether you're a known content creator, not
Yeah.
exactly how like successful you are.
I'm not trying to like get too in the head here, but I think it's really funny when I would just say like people respect the content creating thing more than the achievements thing, because my favorite memory is someone asking Jesse Cotton to take a picture of him and me together at Bologna. Like, hey Jesse, can you take a picture of me in front? Like it's yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
So yeah, there's a difference, I suppose. You're definitely gonna be more known now going forward for sure, especially when you win worlds, Mike. So
Oh, totally. Yeah, I kind of let Josh go first because I feel like he'd have more to say about it. I feel like it hasn't really changed too much. Like I do get the like content creator thing because like, you know, I don't even feel like I'm that big of a content creator. I don't go like too crazy with it.
Well, you're not small either, though.
aren't you full time?
Yeah, I do it full time right now, but
Oh.
I'm not, you know, like I don't go crazy with YouTube, you know what I mean? I feel like YouTube is where the people who like come
Where
up
the
to
eyes
you
are.
like want to recognize you more.
Yeah.
Because like people from Twitch, they'll just like if I bump into my Twitch chatters, they're just cool about it. They're like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Mike?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah." They're like, "Oh, I'm so and so from chat." I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up, dude?" You know, it's always really chill, but like, you know, the people who come up and it's like, "Oh my god, are you Trish? Like, can I get a picture?" Like, I feel like that's usually the more of like the YouTube people, and I don't go crazy with
YouTube
YouTube.
frog behavior.
Yeah, it's like I don't do YouTube that often. I post a video like once every 3 months. Like it's like, oh, there was something interesting that happened for Dragon Link. Like here's a video.
But you should go to a YCS and like keep track of the people that ask you for photos, and you need to guess whether they're from Twitch or YouTube.
Oh
you
my
check
god,
your,
that's awesome. I should do that.
like
All
based
right,
on
I'm
their
writing that down. I
behavior.
need to write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, like based on behavior. It's like content cop it. It's like the full investigation onto where they found me, and I'm just wrong every time.
Although I will say, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I have had people come up like, "Oh, hey, you're Farfa." Yeah. Oh, dude, do you know where Simo is? That was a crazy experience for me at Bologna as well.
I think my favorite thing is that like so me and like Shupeng, we traveled together for the event. Like he just took his layover in Chicago, and so like we were, you know, I spent a lot of time with him this past weekend. He's so funny, dude. He like we were at dinner and he's like, "Dude, you were a random before Worlds." I was like, "What?"
Damn. Damn.
Shit, dude.
Although to be fair, I will say when I think of early Dragon Link, I definitely think of Shunping. Like he was definitely one of the early cooks of that deck.
Yeah. Did he win his UDS with it?
Yeah. It's so funny because like I was also playing dragons back then. It was so funny. I would like look at him. I'm like, bro, I hate your list. From that,
Did you make sure to go to like his deck profiles when he won the UDS and be like, yeah, that's cool and all, but I actually played it first, and your list sucks?
No.
You need to do that. That's like what every rogue player does when you do well with the deck that they've also been playing.
Hold on, let me. I'm adding it to my short list of Josh ideas I've stolen from Josh on this podcast.
Okay.
And the follow-up question was there any, have you had any like particularly negative experience and stuff like that?
No, I don't think so. The only like negative experience was like because there was that top 8 match, right? I think some people didn't have like the context of what was going on in that match, because I don't think we even had like a mic feed. So like I got some like negative comments on like my deck profile that I like slow played him, or that I'm like arrogant or rude or something like that, which was like weird. Cause like we were vibing like while the judges were coming, he was like, "So you playing in other games right now?" It's like, "Yeah, have you heard of Alestrals?" Like we were having like we were chilling, like it was fine. Like dude was cool.
That feature
but,
writer
like,
must have been mad, dude.
Well, here's the thing that I have heard a lot, just like offhand over the past few years, is that people say that I look angry while I play, and I didn't like
I think every player
understand
who
what-
takes the game
Yeah.
seriously just kind of looks like that,
I
right?
get that all the time, and it's just like, dude, I'm just focusing right now. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not smiling at my opponent every 2 seconds.
right.
Getting
Like, I'm
mulch-armied,
not trying to
like,
be your best
yeah!
friend. Because like I feel like I play worse when I'm like, you know, clowning around. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
in the middle of
obviously,
a
yeah.
game. So it's like I'll clown around like before and after the games, but not like during them. And I think it made it so much worse because at Nats, like I forgot to schedule my haircut. Like I couldn't get a haircut until after Nats. So I'm just sitting there. There's like my hair is down to my eyes. I have like a full like beard. I'm like overgrown. I look like a caveman. And like I guess you add like the scowling, like the focus scowl to that, and I guess that could look kind of like spooky. But like
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's
dude.
that's
Like,
streamer
that's the most
Trish.
negativity. Yeah.
What about you, Josh?
I'm trying to think of something. I don't know. I mean, I am a little more introverted, so sometimes when people keep coming up to me, sometimes it's a little much. But I mean, obviously, I know that every single one of them just means well, and so I try to, be nice to everybody. So I don't know, like it's fine overall. I'll take it.
Well, I will say
Yeah.
for your perspective specifically is like whenever Josh has had like a crushing defeat out of Top Cut, and then someone will be like, "Hey, Josh, can you sign my cards?" Like,
And it is like the card that beat
It's
you.
not their fault. It's not their fault. So I'll still try to be nice and do it. But like sometimes it's just like I kind of just want a moment for myself, But it's okay. I know. I mean, they might not even know what happened. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I've been doing the content creation stuff like the longest I think here, and I've never had a bad experience in real life. It's always like, because I mean that's just kind of how like keyboard warriors and stuff are, right? Like they're not gonna say anything to you in person. It's
I wouldn't call those negative experiences either. It's not like
Yeah, yeah.
it's someone still being nice to me in this moment. It's just like I'm not in the mood for it, but it's not a negative experience at all.
Sorry
Yeah.
for shutting the lift door on you at Euros, Josh. Oh wow, you got into a fight, dude? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. My quote unquote worst experience was some guy coming up to me and saying, "Hey, Farfa, immigration is looking for you." That was it. That was pretty funny in hindsight though. That was my favorite story to tell people.
Okay.
All right, that's a good wrap actually. That's a good place to round off on. Yeah, remind us again, Mike. Where can we find you and watch your content?
Please do not find me once again. But if you must, I stream a lot on Twitch at twitch.tv/TrishulaTTV. Also, shout outs to all the people who followed like mid podcast. I have my OBS up. And I'm just getting
I've
like
been
the
getting
Taco Bell
notifications.
thing, like the Taco Bell bong has been going off in like my headphones this whole podcast.
Taco Bell bongs.
Yeah,
What a
like the
great
ding.
notification.
Yeah. It's just like the notification. It's like, yeah. See there, it just went again.
All right, chat. Go hit that follow button. Give him the oingo bongos. All right. Any closing statements, Mr. Schmidt?
No, I think it's a wrap. I've been. I guess this is for all the Josh viewers in chat right now. This is the only time you're going to see me this week, except for the Challenger Cup tomorrow, because I've also been kind of focused on the World's prep. So sorry about that. I guess. Hope people understand, but you still get this bit of content at least.
Yep, Challenger Cups and stuff as well for both of us this weekend.
Yeah.
So sign up and join wherever you guys want to. And we'll see you for the next episodes. Peace out.
Peace.
Party time.